What's up, everybody, and welcome to the HexxedPhenom Gamescast, a show that brings you the video game news you need to know each and every week. It goes live every Saturday at youtube.com/HexxedPhenom and on podcast services around the globe. Places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, really any podcast service of your choosing. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Wojcik, aka HexxedPhenom, and I am joined by the abstract rocker, JP. JP, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. You know, since the last recording we did, I got my license to sell life insurance.
Nice, congratulations.
Well, thank you, sir. So I got that. I started making progress on the new job with the script and everything, and I train on April 25th. So I'm
Nice.
pretty excited. So we're just gonna be banging out the script and just kind of working with some supervisors and all that stuff. But yeah, life is definitely going good and definitely better than it was.
Oh yeah, well that's always a good thing, right?
Damn right.
But JP, we're here to talk about the video game news. So first, JP, what have you been playing?
I actually got some Vanguard time in a little bit before we recorded this today, and I was really amazed at that one gun that I started working with, and that's the Type 100.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, I've been doing a lot of that with gaming. I've really just been binging a lot of stuff. So I've been cramming a lot of things with studying and trying to get the script down. But plan on doing a lot more gaming. I've been hitting Zombie Army 4 as well. But yeah, I do have plans to definitely do a lot more gaming soon now that it's kind of getting a lot easier to work and manage with everything.
Yeah.
When?
Well, I mean, first off, I mean, it's not necessarily something I've been playing, but in terms of important life events, JP, I don't know if you know, well, I mean, you do know, but I recently became the world heavyweight champion.
Recently became the champ.
As you can see, it has my name on it, therefore I am the champion. For audio listeners, I bought a WWE replica championship, and I bought a custom nameplate for it. So now it says that HexxedPhenom is the world heavyweight champion.
It's totally cool, especially knowing how far you come with like the title belt itself, like the HexxedPhenom thing, and now you actually have a belt with the title piece on it. The nameplate, it's really cool that you got a deal on the nameplate. That's really cool.
But when it comes to actual gaming, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've been playing more Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I've been slowly working towards the platinum on it, and I almost fucked myself out of it, but I was able to course correct and fix it. Long story short, for those of you that don't know much about the Borderlands games, essentially, it's kind of like your standard RPG where it's just like enemies are dropping loot left and right, and you're constantly on the search for the next, like, you know, best gun and, you know, whatever, best equipment, all that stuff. And you're constantly, you know, getting guns that are slightly better than the last ones you got. And so I got to what they call the end game, which means I beat the story mode, and then I was doing the content that they have, you know, built in for the stuff for you to play after that. And there's a trophy associated with it. And so basically, they call it, in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, they call it chaos levels. And basically you go through this like predetermined encounter of, like, I think you go through like 6 different, like, you have to do like 6 different, they're called encounters. It's basically just like 6 different rooms that you're stuck in a room with a bunch of enemies and you have to kill them all and then move on to the next room. And there's like upgrades and stuff you can buy between rooms and stuff like that to help you, you know, get through and stuff. And each chaos level, you have higher and higher chances of getting better guns and melee weapons and gear and spells and stuff like that. And so it's just like a constant grind of trying to find the next best thing. And I had this really great setup that I was rocking with that I had been grinding for a long time. And I'm such a fucking idiot because in this game, like in most RPGs, you have a limited amount of inventory space. And so there's also a couple of trophies that require you to have just like, you have to buy all of the inventory upgrades in the game, which costs a lot of fucking money. I don't even know how much total it is, but it's a lot of money because there's like, so there's ammo upgrades for each type of weapon, and there's like, I think up to 10 or 11 for each weapon class, like pistols, SMGs, LMGs, ARs, shotguns, pistols. I think I said pistols already, but like, so there's like, I think there's like 13 of those, and every time you buy one, it like doubles in price or something like that. It's actually more than that. So like, right now, I'm not even, I think I'm only at like 8 out of 13 for the different ammo upgrades. And the next ammo upgrade for each, you have to buy them separately for each class. And so I think the next set of ammo upgrades is going to cost like 3 million per gun type or whatever. So every single time, like I'm just picking up any guns I can find to go and sell them, even if they're not good guns, because it's just the quickest way to make money. And so I didn't know that apparently you can sell the guns that you're holding in your hand. And so I accidentally sold every single thing in my inventory, including what I had on my character. So I was left with nothing. And I mean, I guess thankfully you can buy stuff back from the shop that you sell it to, but you can only buy back the last like 10 things you sold. And so of course, my dumbass, without realizing, must have sold all of the stuff that was on my character first, and then all the shitty stuff that was in my backpack. So I just was able to buy back like the last 10 weapons I had sold that were all just garbage that was just sitting in the bottom of my backpack. So for the longest time, I literally spent like 2 days where I basically couldn't progress anymore because my guns were so bad. And so there was this boss at the end of this 6 like encounter thing, you have to fight a boss. And obviously if you beat the boss, then you unlock the next chaos level and you can continue on your journey or whatever. But I multiple times got into this boss fight, and a lot of the bosses in Borderlands have methods of healing themselves. And so this guy would spawn like a drone that would fly around him and heal him. And you have to destroy the drone and then keep dealing damage to him. Okay. Except my guns were so bad that any damage that I would do to him, he would instantly heal himself with the drone. And then it would take me so long to kill the drone that he would just be back at full health. So there was one time where I was literally fighting him for 2 hours straight on the same life in one boss battle, and I literally couldn't get his health down past like a quarter before he would heal himself back to full. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So, and then thankfully, thank God, with just some random enemy just dropped a really good gun, and then I was able to finish it. But oh my God.
Yeah, at least you got it done.
Yeah, thankfully.
No doubts on that.
But the other thing I've been playing is I actually bought the new Lego Star Wars game that just came out. Lego Star Wars Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is what it's called. And I'm actually really, really surprised with it. Like, I mean, I didn't really pay attention to the marketing for this game, so maybe this was obvious, but I was expecting it to be like basically just a remaster of the existing Lego Star Wars games, just like prettier. But they like this is like a full-on remake. Like, it still is obviously based on the movies, so it's not like completely different, but the gameplay is completely redesigned. Like, it's more of a zoomed in, like focused third-person action game, and like all of the controls are different, and it's, you know, I mean, it's still like they didn't completely reinvent the formula. Like, if you've played a Lego game before, you're going to be familiar with it, but they really changed a lot from the Lego Star Wars of old, and just the Lego games of old in general. Like,
of old.
I think it's a really good basis for them to build, no pun intended, but this is a really good basis for them to build other Lego games on top of. And I really want to see another Lego Marvel game in this style, because I feel like that would be really, really awesome. But yeah, and then technically this one, I know we've dwelled on this for a while, but technically I know this isn't about playing video games technically, but it's video game related, so I just want to mention it here quick. I went with Tyler to go see the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie yesterday, and it was really fucking good. Like, granted, I'm a Sonic fan, so like, I don't know if people would like it as much if they, if you haven't played a Sonic game, but I think in general, like, as a kid's movie, I think it's a great movie. And if you're a fan of Sonic, I think it's a great movie. If you're just some random person who's never played Sonic before, I'm not sure how you'll feel about it, but I thought it was great. And they had something real hype during the end credit scene, which I won't spoil, but I'm fucking hyped, and it was way better than I expected it to be, honestly. So,
hell yeah.
if you're a fan of Sonic, or if you've got a kid, I would recommend going to check it out.
That sounds dope. Yeah, I was gonna say, I know Jim Carrey was saying that he was done acting. I don't think he is, mainly because that was on April Fool's Day. I don't think he's done acting, but I'm assuming they're gonna keep probably making the Sonic movies. And it seems I'm not huge into Sonic. Like, I'm fond of Sonic. It's just a totally different generation and console that I wasn't really all familiarized with, but I do remember him. I hear Jim Carrey really does a pretty damn good villain-esque in that. So I kind of hope they keep it going. So I think that's a gold mine.
Definitely. And I don't think this is necessarily spoiling anything, because it's pretty obvious, even if you know even the slightest bit about this movie. But they definitely set up for at least one more Sonic movie. And I think they've also confirmed that they're making a spin-off show about one of the characters in the movie too, so
yeah.
They're definitely setting up for like a Sonic cinematic universe type thing, which is cool. But, JP, let's get into the gaming news for the week. And surprisingly, JP, it's not going to be our first news story, but surprisingly, Activision actually has a positive news story in the news for once, which is crazy.
Be great if it was Zombie Chronicles 2, but I know that's not going to happen yet.
No, I wish. But let's start off with let's start off here. Max Payne and Max Payne 2 remakes coming from Remedy and Rockstar. The remakes will come to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series S and X. This is by Austin Goslin over at Polygon. Remedy Entertainment is returning to the Max Payne franchise. The studio announced Wednesday that it's remaking Max Payne and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, in coordination with Rockstar Games. Quote, Max Payne has always had a special place in the hearts of everyone at Remedy, and we know the millions of fans worldwide feel the same, said Remedy CEO Tero Vertala in a news release. Quote, we're hugely excited to be working with our partners at Rockstar Games once again for the chance to bring the story, action, and atmosphere of the original Max Payne games back to players in new ways. End quote. Remedy and Rockstar partnered up for the creation of Max Payne 2, picking up where original publisher Gathering of Developers left off after the original Max Payne. Rockstar Games handled development of Max Payne 3, released in 2012 by itself. Max Payne and Max Payne 2 will be released as a single standalone title on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S and X, and will feature a budget similar to Remedy's other AAA projects, according to the news release. The remakes will use Remedy's own Northlight engine, the technology that powered Quantum Break and Control. There is no word yet on when the remakes might be released, but the project is apparently in the, quote, concept development stages. So, JP, have you played Max Payne? Are you familiar with Max Payne? And what does this news do for you?
Well, that's a throwback for me, actually, because I was really too young to kind of understand the full concept of what Max Payne was. So I mainly got to see the game from my cousin Brendan and Josh Byers, who are the same age. So they're about 2 to 3 years older than me. So when Max Payne and The Fall of Max Payne came out, I got to see them and not really understand what was going on, but they really looked great. So I think I'm definitely going to pick these up just because I feel like I need to. I feel this nostalgic connection to that game because I never fully concepted it. So I feel like I have to play it.
Yeah.
Max Payne isn't a bad game though. I think it's going to be great. I'm sure that's not going to be the only Rockstar remasters coming. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. GTA 4 and RDR. But those are probably on the down low, so they'll probably just randomly go, "Hey, check this out," and then we'll cream our pants and be like, "Wow, when's it coming out?" So as long as Remedy does a way better job than Grove Street Games did, actually remastering or remaking Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, I think I'll be fine. Don't want to see another disaster happen.
Oh, definitely.
Just
Well, the
quality.
interesting thing about this is that, and granted, like I don't know who broached who about this this project, but the interesting thing to me is that Remedy is not owned by Rockstar. So this would be the first time in a while, I get maybe since Max Payne 2 even, that Rockstar published a game and didn't just develop it, or develop and publish. I could be wrong on that, but pretty much every other Rockstar game I could think of was developed and published by Rockstar. Well, I guess technically it's not published by Rockstar. It's developed by Rockstar and then published by Take-Two. But so this seems to be a collaboration between Rockstar and Remedy. I think it's only a collaboration just because Rockstar technically owns the rights to it, so it's probably just licensed from Rockstar. I'm not sure if they have much to do with that outside of that, but I mean, Remedy made, like they said, Control. They made Quantic Dream. They made, or no, Quantic Dream is a developer. What's it? Quantum Break, and they made Alan Wake. So those are three like top tier games. So I mean, I think that these remakes are in good hands. I personally don't have any connection to the Max Payne franchise. I remember seeing commercials for Max Payne 3 and thinking that it looked cool, but never ended up playing it. I know Max Payne 3, from what I've heard, isn't as revered as the first two. So maybe it's a good thing that this one's only the first two.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, because at that point in time, I think they just wanted to make a trilogy set to see what would happen. Max Payne 3 actually had a lot of connections to what the modern infrastructure looks like for the social club, because Max Payne 3 is actually when they launched the social club. So that's the first game. So if you log on there, Grand Theft Auto, if you want to join our clan, it's LISW for Lost in Shadows. But if you go on there on your clan, Max Payne 3 is the first iteration title. So if I wanted to this day, I can go back and start the clan on there. But yeah, so that's not. I don't know. Max Payne 3 didn't really do much for the series. It made bank. It's just I think they wanted to end it right there, because I really don't know what else they could have done with that series. Like, it's really engaging. It's kind of like Star Wars Battlefront. It's really engaging, but if you beat the hell out of it, it doesn't really look like itself. And obviously, look at what EA did to Star Wars Battlefront. I think everybody would probably agree on that, because you can't really innovate on something that's already concrete set, and you can only push it so far. So
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be picking it up. Something tells me we're probably going to see it probably like a fall 23, maybe.
It depends on.
They are from PS2, so they can't be that incredibly hard to resurrect. I'm assuming a good.
Well, my thing is I think it depends on if it's going to be a remaster or if it's going to be a full-on remake. If it's going to be a full-on remake, I could see it taking more time than that, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. If not, probably at the latest you'll see it in spring 24. I don't think it's going to be held off that long, because.
Well, I don't know how big of a studio Remedy is, but I believe they already announced another game, which I think they announced Alan Wake 2 somewhat recently. So it seems like they're working on two games at once. So I'm sure they're probably separate teams, but like I said, I don't know how big of a studio they really are, like in terms of manpower.
I realized too they're remaking, remastering.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
It
probably.
might be a little bit, like 24 probably, if I had to guess.
You're probably gonna see it in the spring summer of 24. Then I thought for a second it was a remaster because you could put in the engine and start screwing around, but you definitely don't want to do what Grove Street Games did to Grand Theft Auto.
No, 100%. Like I honestly, I was gonna say, I really hope that Rockstar takes the or learns their lesson, I guess I should say, from this whole GTA trilogy thing and just lets Remedy take as much time as they need, put as much resources into it as they need, and actually make a great remake of Max Payne 1 and 2. And then hopefully people will vote with their wallets and show Rockstar that, hey, you shouldn't have made a shitty fucking piss poor attempt at a remaster of the GTA trilogy.
You could say that again.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. I think it's cool knowing Max Payne's coming back. So I kind of have hope that we're going to see Manhunt come back, mainly because Manhunt made. I'm pretty sure Manhunt and Max Payne made just about the. I wonder. Let's see. I'm curious about the sales figures. In its debut month, sales of Max Payne reached roughly 82,000 copies. Manhunt sales. Hold on. They were both. Yeah. So, yeah, Manhunt and Max Payne are neck and neck practically. First month, Manhunt for how. See, it's interesting because Manhunt is probably one of the most like grotesque games ever like released on public platforms. I mean, Hatred came around, but then that got banned, so that doesn't really count. But um, Manhunt came around the first month. It sold 75,000 copies. Max Payne sold 82,000, which is interesting because Max Payne is your kind of like action movie Taken kind of concept. I'm pretty sure Taken was influenced by Max Payne. It just really fits and the character fits, but Manhunt itself was so damn grotesque and violent and controversial as all hell, and that almost sold as many copies. So I feel like we're in the next generation of Rockstar where they're going back and remastering all their series. So I know people want to see a new Bully game. I don't think that's going to happen. You're probably going to see Bully on PS5 remade, but at least you'll be getting something. Now Manhunt on PS5, that's going to be incredibly brutal. Like I'm really excited to see it happen because I'm sure it will, but it's a good start with Max Payne. It's a good start. That's one series I didn't think would get remade. So the door is definitely open.
My only thing when it comes to Manhunt and Bully as compared to Max Payne is that those games, Manhunt and Bully, are just so mired in controversy that, and granted, like Rockstar never really cared about controversy, but I don't know. I could see them wanting to avoid them just because they don't want to deal with the bullshit of it. And plus, like, people are more sensitive nowadays than they have ever been before. So
I think what works in Manhunt's favor is that back then the world wasn't as violent. So it's kind of like Manhunt gave prelude into modern times of violence. Nowadays, the crap you'd see in Manhunt isn't really that violent compared to what you see anymore. That's why I think they could probably get away with remastering 1 and 2 and maybe a third installment. I think it deserves a remaster at least. A third game, you might as well see how the remasters do because like it sold like hotcakes when it hit the PlayStation Store. The second game is not on there because there's a lot of controversy with the kills in it and the amount of editing they had to do to get the rating. But and I'll admit the kills are absolutely unreal. But for today's standards, they're not really that crazy. They're not as over the top as they once were in 2003 and 2000. I think 2008 actually. Manhunt 2 came out. They took 5 years off to make it. So it's
I mean, now that I think about it, like, sorry to cut you off, but like, now that I think about it, I guess Manhunt can't be nearly. I'm not saying it can't be as bad, but like, there's not as much controversy behind Mortal Kombat anymore as you would think there is. And like, I'm sure a lot of the kills in Manhunt can't possibly be worse than the stuff that you see in Mortal Kombat fatalities. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it would definitely have to be censored or even maybe completely banned in certain countries, but
Yeah, I'm looking into it, and it seems like Rockstar is interested in remastering Manhunt. And ironically, this is from November 2021. Ironically, Max Payne 1 and 2 got added on the Xbox Marketplace. Manhunt 1 got added on the Xbox Marketplace. Red Dead Revolver got added to the Xbox Marketplace. Something tells me maybe this is a prelude into what they're doing right now. Maybe Max Payne. Obviously, we know RDR is getting remastered more than likely in Grand Theft Auto 4. So maybe this is like a prelude, because ironically, Max Payne 1 and 2 hits the Xbox Marketplace, and now 6 months later, there's a remake coming. I don't know. It's kind of interesting knowing that Manhunt is in there, not Manhunt 2. Manhunt 2 for many reasons, but Manhunt might actually be remastered. I'd like to see what they could do with next gen software for Manhunt, because that game was so damn violent in 2003 on the PS2 that I can't even imagine what you could do with modern technology. You're talking probably like a complete snuff film. You could probably be like, and even back in the day, Manhunt 1, I remember you were able to plug in your USB headset, and you could literally like speak and talk, and the director would actually answer you and everything. It was really ahead of its time when you think about it.
I remember there was a couple of PS2 games that did that. And like, granted, I think the only one that, sorry, this is off topic, but the only one I remember using is there was one of the NASCAR games did that. And I remember using it at my buddy Mark's place, and it never worked the way that you wanted it to, at least for that game in particular. And then I remember at some point we started cursing at him, and he's like, "You kiss your mother with that mouth?"
He just knows. So we'll have to see what happens, though. It should be quite interesting that these games are just added, and now Max Payne 1 and 2 are now being remade.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives me hope that we might actually see at least Manhunt 1 get remastered. And if that does well, you probably could see Manhunt 3. Could be a damn near possibility. So
that would be pretty cool. I'll have to wait and see. Speaking of new game announcements that are very anticlimactic, a new Tomb Raider is coming, built on Unreal Engine 5. Lara Croft's next adventure just started development. This is by Michael McWhirter over at Polygon. Lara Croft's next adventure, the 13th mainline Tomb Raider game, is now in development, Crystal Dynamics confirmed on Tuesday. The developer said the next Tomb Raider game will be built using Epic Games' newly launched Unreal Engine 5 to deliver, quote, next-level storytelling and gameplay experiences, end quote. Crystal Dynamics has used its own foundation engine for recent Tomb Raider games. Dallas Dickinson, franchise general manager for Tomb Raider, said that Crystal Dynamics has, quote, just started development, end quote, of the next game in the series, adding, quote, our goal is to push the envelope of fidelity and to deliver the high-quality cinematic action-adventure experience that fans deserve from both Crystal Dynamics and the Tomb Raider franchise, end quote. The most recent game in the franchise, 2018 Shadow of the Tomb Raider, wrapped the Survivor trilogy, a second attempt at rebooting Lara Croft's origin as a globe-trotting adventure seeker, archaeologist, and treasure hunter. Crystal Dynamics said last year that it planned to unify the timelines of classic and modern Tomb Raider games as it develops new adventures for Lara. Crystal Dynamics and Tomb Raider publisher Square Enix did not offer any kind of timeline on the new Tomb Raider, nor did they show any sort of teaser. But Crystal Dynamics' announcement was followed by another revelation. Jeff Ross, who led development of Days Gone at Sony's Bend Studio, announced Tuesday that he had joined Crystal Dynamics as the game director, but did not reveal for which project. Quote, that's all I can say other than I'm thrilled with the project and especially the team of really wonderful people, Ross said on Twitter. Crystal Dynamics' other announced projects include ongoing development for Marvel's Avengers, also built in Crystal Dynamics' Foundation engine, and co-development of a new Perfect Dark game for Microsoft, aiding primary developer The Initiative. Tomb Raider is also being adapted as an animated series for Netflix. The Tomb Raider anime will be written and executive produced by Tasha Tasha Hu, I believe is how you pronounce that. I apologize if I butchered her name. Who's also working on The Witcher Blood Origin, a live-action spin-off of the popular fantasy series. So, JP, I'm going to ask you a similar set of questions about Tomb Raider. Have you played previous Tomb Raider games? Have you played the reboot trilogy specifically? And are you excited for a new Tomb Raider game?
Um, I played the original Tomb Raiders on the PlayStation.
Okay.
Never really gave a shit to play the remasters, and probably not going to play a new one because once again, it's Tomb Raider is one of those series where they probably should have stopped. Movies, okay, you could probably get something going, but modern day video games, it really, and I don't play this series either, but it looks vaguely similar to Uncharted, and it's kind of weird. And actually, I think that's one of the main complaints that the Tomb Raider games get nowadays. They're too much like Uncharted, and I totally get it. I know Uncharted was definitely inspired by Tomb Raider, but it's
That's the
kind of
funny thing is that
yeah,
that Uncharted, when Uncharted first came out, people made fun of it for basically just being Tomb Raider but with a guy. And then when the Tomb Raider reboot came out in 2013, everybody made fun of it saying it looked like Uncharted, and it's just like
Uncharted. Yep.
you can't win, I guess. But
Yeah, it's just you could tell they're at the point now where I don't think Tomb Raider should really happen unless you're making a movie because it's too much like Uncharted.
but now there's an Uncharted movie.
Uncharted movies, or at least Uncharted's doing that, but I don't know. You can't really make a linear game series and expect them both to work because eventually one's going to cannibalize the other, and next thing you know, you have a game that's not what it normally was. That's how I felt with the Tomb Raider remasters. Like, I'm like, this is definitely not the original Tomb Raider. And next thing you know, you start seeing all these Uncharted things, and I'm like, this is too much like Uncharted, and I don't play Uncharted, so that's pretty. It's pretty strange when someone who doesn't play the games can be like, "Wow, that looks like Uncharted," and plays like it. That's kind of funny, but um, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what they do. I don't even know. I think they should just move on to better ideas. Like, I think they're really just wasting their time on Tomb Raider. It's been played out way too much.
For me, I mean, I played all three of the rebooted Tomb Raider trilogy. I mean, it definitely is very similar to Uncharted. There's no denying that. But I mean, I like Uncharted, so getting more of it isn't necessarily a bad thing to me. Especially now that Uncharted is kind of on a hiatus. Like, they released 4, and then they released the expansion for 4, which is called Lost Legacy, and then that's been it. And there's been rumors swirling about maybe somebody potentially picking up where Naughty Dog left off, but as far as Naughty Dog have said, I mean, they haven't said it's their last Uncharted game, but they said it's their last Uncharted game with Nathan Drake. So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but
Game with Nathan Drake. That's like getting rid of Laura Croft. I don't know.
yeah.
That's a hard one because at least Laura Croft is still in these randomly.
Well, I don't know if necessarily that, like, if they make a new one, I don't know that Nathan Drake wouldn't be in it at all, but I don't think he would be the playable character, at the very least. But, I mean, I don't know, whatever. But, I've never played any of the other Tomb Raider games, so I can't compare the reboot to the old games. In terms of am I excited? Mildly, I guess. I mean, I'd have to wait and see it to really have any feelings for it. I think this is just a very anticlimactic announcement. Like, it's just like, oh, hey, like, we just started development. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. I kind of don't like that we're seeing this trend recently in the games industry of people just announcing that they're making a game and then just disappearing for 2 years, and then finally they have something to show from it. I kind of miss the just like hype game announcements of like, you have no idea this game was being made, and then it's just at E3. There's a trailer, there's, you know, gameplay or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm not liking this new trend in the games industry, but I mean, whatever. I think the more interesting thing to me about this is, and granted, Crystal Dynamics is a couple of different studios, so this doesn't 100% confirm that the Avengers game is dead. But I'd say it all but confirms it, because there's been like nothing happening on that game for a long time.
Did you
So
try? Did you try deleting your save and starting the campaign all over again?
I didn't try that, but the last thing they released was Spider-Man as the playable character for PS4 and 5 in like September or October, somewhere around there. And that was it. There's been no talks about new content, about when new content's coming. There's been no roadmap. There's been nothing. They've just been radio silent for like 6 months. So there was rumors swirling that they were working on a like a DLC character for She-Hulk to try to, because they're also making a She-Hulk Disney Plus show, but the Disney Plus show got delayed, so there was rumors that they might have delayed that DLC now because the show's not coming out yet. That seems dumb to do, but especially when this game is starving for content. But I don't know. I honestly wouldn't even care if this game was dead at this point. Like,
Yeah, it definitely seems like it bit the dust pretty good. Maybe bit the curb even. Yep.
but we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll talk about this Tomb Raider game when there's more news to talk about. Speaking of games that are starved for content, though, JP, this is a good segue. Halo Infinite Season 2 launches in early May. New trailer shows off Battle Pass rewards, 2 maps, and a few new modes. This is by Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon. Halo Infinite's second season begins May 3rd, developer 343 Industries announced on Friday. The season, called Lone Wolves, will add a new Battle Pass system, new maps, We'll add a new We'll add a new battle pass system, new maps, and additional modes. The trailer released Friday morning shows off a bit of those new maps, one arena map called Catalyst and one big team battle map called Breaker, which appears to have a big lava pit separating parts of the map. The new modes were outlined last month by 343 and include a free-for-all elimination mode called Last Spartan Standing, a new one called Land Grab, and an updated version of King of the Hill. A more detailed report on all player feedback and upcoming tweaks for Halo Infinite Season 2 was posted on the Halo Waypoint blog over the past 2 weeks. The first post covered the multiplayer content and accessibility, while the second, published Thursday, detailed the battle pass progression and customization options, among other things. There, 343 Industries said the Season 2 Battle Pass track will have more customization options than in Season 1, and confirmed that players will be able to earn 1,000 CR Infinite's paid credits with the premium battle pass. Some of these new customization rewards can be seen in the trailer, like a sweet new helmet. 343 Industries published an early look at concept art for the 2 full Lone Wolf armor looks last month. If you're not into surprises, these 2 Spartans are called Spartan Sigrid Eklund and Spartan Hasu Din, which I definitely butchered both of those names. At that time, 343 Industries also said the Season 2 will include more story, including more on Commander Agrina and story-themed events. As we heard in March, Halo Infinite's cooperative campaign mode will not launch alongside Season 2. In March, 343 Industries said it expects the mode to come sometime during the second season, but a release date has not been announced yet. So, JP, I know neither of us play Halo, but I just figured it was a big story considering that the game released and it was like really hype for like a week or two. And then everybody was like, oh, there's no content and the first season is going to last 6 months and the battle pass sucks. And that was about it. And then everyone stopped talking about Halo.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really give a shit about Halo. So when it died, I was like, cool. I don't got to hear about it now. Like, nice. Well, Halo might have kind of died off, but it could be worse. It could be Battlefield 2042. Still sitting.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That alpha plus state, still no voice chat or anything. So
they might have gotten the scoreboard though. I don't remember if it was actually added yet or not, but they might finally have a scoreboard. So they're really getting there. I think they might have voice chat probably by next year at this pace.
They might have voice chat by the time the next one comes out. Hell yeah.
Good point.
I like that. So, Yeah, hey, at least Halo's getting some more content just to keep it going. I know a few people that'll probably rave about it.
I think the craziest thing about it to me, and granted, like I said, I don't keep up with Halo, so I missed this news, but it's crazy to me that it'll be it'll be 6 months after release, and there's still no co-op campaign, there's still no Forge mode, and those are the two things that I associate the most with Halo, and they're still not there. So, very interesting. Like I said, a quick little news story because neither of us really have much to comment on. But again, I'm glad it's getting content. It seems like they're improving the battle pass. It seems like they're listening. It's just, I mean, I understand game development's hard. Game development takes time, but I don't know. Hopefully they can take all the lessons they learned during the first couple of months and start to implement them a little bit faster so that, people aren't waiting 6 months between, seasons. So.
God, that's a killer right now, especially in 22.
We'll see what happens. This one is yet another update on Gran Turismo 7. Gran Turismo 7's road to recovery begins with latest patch. Late game rewards got a significant boost. This is by Ollie Welsh over at Polygon. Gran Turismo 7's patch 1.11 was released Thursday, bringing the first of the changes promised 2 weeks ago as developer Polyphony Digital sought to head off intense criticism of the game's grindy reward economy and its high-priced microtransactions. The first round of these changes go quite a long way toward making GT7's late game feel more rewarding. Rewards for the latter half of the World Circuit campaign races have been increased, along with rewards for arcade, custom, and online races, and circuit experience time trial challenges. 3 new high-level, high-reward races have been added to the World Circuit at the Tokyo Expressway, Le Mans, and Sardegna? I have no idea. Circuits. Additionally, a series of 1-hour endurance races has been added to the mission mode. These will award up to 1.2 million credits each time they are taken on. Away from new events and direct increases to rewards, a few steps have also been taken to make it easier to collect high-value cars in the game. The cap for credits earned in-game has been raised to 100 million. Invitations from manufacturers to purchase rare cars will last longer, and the number of classic cars available in the Legend and used car dealerships at any one time has been increased. There are a bunch of other fixes and changes included in the patch notes, including improvements to the game's somewhat erratic off-road physics. First announcing these changes in late March, Polyphony head Kazunori Yamauchi said there would be more to follow, including the ability to sell cars, 24-hour races, and online time trials with a scaling reward system. Yamauchi had come in for fierce criticism after initially moving to decrease the rewards of races players were using to grind for credits in the game. This, against the backdrop of extremely expensive in-game microtransactions and high-priced cars, it seems the general consensus of the Gran Turismo community has registered with Sony and instigated a swift change of heart. It's just as well, because Gran Turismo 7 is otherwise wonderful. So, I mean, we kind of already knew that patch was coming, but that news story was essentially that the patch is here. I actually haven't gotten a chance to play yet since the patch went out, so I can't comment on it personally. But I'll just reiterate, like I said last time that we talked about this, which I think was last week's show, that I'm glad that they are taking the criticism to heart, and I'm glad that they are, improving things for the better, and I hope the game continues to get better, because I put a ton of hours into GT Sport, and I plan to, down the line, once there's not as many games to play, put a ton more hours into GT7. So as long as they keep improving it, I will keep playing.
Yeah.
But JP, it's time that we talk about this positive news story coming from Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard to convert 1,000 quality assurance workers to full-time positions. Workers will have pay increase to at least $20 an hour. This is by Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon. Activision Blizzard will convert all of its US-based temporary and contingent quality assurance QA positions to full-time jobs, the company announced on Thursday. Nearly 1,100 workers will become full-time Activision Blizzard employees, upping their pay to at least $20 an hour and allowing QA workers access to bonuses and full-time benefits. Activision Publishing Chief Operating Officer and Blizzard Entertainment Head Mike Ibarra shared the news with staff Thursday. Quote, across Activision Blizzard, we are bringing more content to players across our franchises than ever before, end quote, an Activision Blizzard spokesperson said in a statement emailed to Polygon. Quote, as a result, we are refining how our teams work together to develop our games and deliver the best possible experience for our players. We have ambitious plans for the future, and our QA team members are a critical part of our development efforts, end quote. The conversion of all US-based QA staff to full-time employment increases Activision Publishing's total full-time workforce by 25%. An Activision Blizzard spokesperson said that both Activision Publishing and Blizzard Entertainment will continue to use external partner support for QA workers when, quote, workload spikes and exceeds the team's bandwidth, end quote. And then there's a couple of long emails that I'm not going to read through. The 1,100 new full-time positions are on top of the 500 new full-time employees converted last year. At the time, however, 20 temporary workers across Activision Blizzard Studios were told their contracts were not included, 12 of which included those who worked on Call of Duty Warzone at Raven Software. This kicked off a strike that eventually led to Raven Software QA union push with the Communication Workers of America. The group, called the Game Workers Alliance, had the support of 78% of eligible workers, but Activision Blizzard declined to recognize the union. That group is now awaiting a decision with the National Labor Relations Board before moving toward an official union vote. During the hearing, union leaders accused the company of union busting. It's unclear at this time how Activision Blizzard's QA expansion will impact Raven Software's unionization efforts. QA has been historically mischaracterized as an unskilled department across the video game industry. In August, Activision Blizzard QA workers told Polygon that QA contract cycles created a system that made it hard for workers to advance or feel stable in their career. On top of the low pay and intense crunch, upping pay minimums across the board to $20 an hour, as well as largely eliminating the contract structure, is a win for the workers who've been fighting for change within the company. Then there's a couple of updates here. After publication, Bloomberg reported that Raven Software QA workers would not receive the same raises. Activision Blizzard confirmed that in a statement emailed to Polygon, due to our legal obligations under the National Labor Relations Act, we cannot institute new pay initiatives at Raven at this time because they would be new kinds of compensation changes. The Activision Blizzard spokesperson also said that the QA conversion does not have any relation to the petition pending at Raven Studios. The Raven situation is limited to Raven. And then there was another update that said Communications Worker of America Secretary Treasurer Sarah Steffens provided the following statement to press regarding the QA conversion. She basically just goes on to say that it's, she says, quote, it's especially galling that Activision has excluded Raven Software QA workers, which have been at the forefront of this effort, from these benefits. The company's assertion that the National Labor Relations Act prevents them from including Raven workers is clearly an effort to divide workers and undermine their effort to form a union. And then there's one last update. An Activision Blizzard spokesperson emailed a statement to Polygon wherein the company refutes the CWA's statement that Activision Blizzard's decision to not to up Raven's QA pay is an effort to undermine their efforts to form a union. Activision said, the union's assertion is both wrong and disingenuous. It is well known that during an election petition period, the law prevents an employer from extending new kinds of benefits to employees who are going to be voting. So a lot of crap at the end there, which I didn't even know that was happening. But I mean, still, overall, a net positive thing coming from Activision. All 1,100 QA workers, except for those working at Raven, apparently, are being upped to full-time with benefits, with bonuses, all that good stuff, which, like they said, eliminates the worry about, you know, if your contract is going to be renewed and all that stuff. So it's definitely a more secure job. So, GP, what are your thoughts on this overall?
Well, it's definitely just interesting. At least it's a positive note. As soon as you mentioned Activision Blizzard, I'm like, oh God, here we go. I'm like, what's the next chapter in this intense, chilling saga? But you know, at least it's kind of a positive note with everything going on. So I hope it kind of goes in a good direction. It's cool knowing they're moving people to actual full-time positions. I think it's kind of weird how they're not paying them like $20 or more an hour. But
especially for them living in California, like how the hell do any of those people afford a living?
Yeah. So that's a little weird. I think they should be getting paid at least $20 an hour if you're in California and you're at Activision of all places. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not working at a pizzeria or some shit.
Yeah.
You're actually at a distinguished job. So it's a little weird. There's a few things I took away from that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, kind of to just reiterate what you said, obviously it's a net positive in general. And again, like you said, it is weird that they were being paid under $20 an hour initially. And that's insane to me. How the hell were any of those people making it a living at all? But whatever. I'm going to hope that Activision lives up to, but I guess kind of keeps their word about the whole snafu with Raven Software, about how they claim that while people are voting on a union, whatever they said, contract or whatever, that they can't change their wages or anything like that. So hopefully once that whole thing ends, that they will also include Raven's QA team in this, because I mean, granted, like, yes, if they don't, then it's very clear that it was a union busting tactic from the start. But which is obviously bad PR, but obviously Activision doesn't care about bad PR. But I mean, they're working on Activision's. I don't know about when you include Blizzard, but definitely Activision's biggest game right now, which is Warzone. So I think if anybody deserves to be full-time QA, it's them. But I mean, obviously they all do. I'm not saying one deserves it over the others, but I'm just saying that they deserve it as well. So hopefully once their vote for unionizing is finished and done with, then Activision will up their benefits too. And I'm sure once we know more about that situation, we will talk about it here on the show, as we always do. But JP, one last small funny news story to end the podcast on a high note. The word sus, JP, made it on to Jeopardy. Among Us was used in the clue. This is by Nicole Clark over at Polygon.
Are you serious? What? Wow. Oh my God.
If you need any other confirmation that Among Us is everywhere, here's another. The social deduction game starring humanoid beings has made it all the way to Jeopardy! In an episode that aired on April 7th, Inner Sloth's game was referenced in the following clue. Quote, slang objective for someone you think is not who they seem, especially if they might be the imposter in the game Among Us. End quote. And then it shows a tweet from the Among Us game Twitter account that says, we were on Jeopardy! The correct answer was, of course, sus, short for suspicious or suspect. It's a shorthand that you've probably heard dozens of times if you played the game. It's become synonymous with figuring out who done it. Maybe a friend caught you walking away from a murder scene or jumping in an air vent. Or maybe you just looked a little too comfortable calling out someone as the imposter. That said, sus didn't originate from Among Us. The word has a far less savory origins. In the 1930s in England and Wales, it was used as police jargon in the form of sussing something out. For example, by the 2000s in the United States, the slang was mostly used in the context we think of now. That term also has homophobic connotations, as being sus has been used in music lyrics and on streaming and social media platforms to turn queerness into a punchline. If you were wondering, it was contestant Mattia Roach who jumped in and answered the Jeopardy clue correctly. She won the day's competition and currently has a nice 3-day streak going. So, JP.
Sus.
Apparently, Jeopardy is sus.
It's like, I don't know. It's interesting because like I don't mind Among Us and all that stuff. Like I'll be the first one to say that. It's just kind of weird knowing like society is like dumbing itself down. Like instead of saying that's suspicious activity, people go that's sus, and it's like do you guys know vocabulary? I don't know. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's like I feel like people are just getting dumber by the day. Not that I don't mind Among Us. It's just it's interesting when people that don't even play Among Us or even are not even associated with Among Us start saying common slang terms. It's like makes you wonder where society's going. And I don't play Among Us, but I know a lot of people that say sus, and I'm like, okay.
Hey, I can't say anything. I've definitely said it before. From what I understand, I mean, it's used shorthand in the game because the game is on mobile devices, so it's just easier to type out he's sus than, oh, he's suspicious or he's suspect. You know what I mean? So that I get, and then from there it turned into a meme, and then from a meme into like actual
vocabulary.
Yeah, actual conversation. But
sus.
I usually say it in like and I like to be ironic. I'm not usually like, oh, you're being sus. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. I like to try to end the podcast on just a funny little blurb of a news story. So
it's crazy knowing it hit Jeopardy. That's wow. That really makes you think about it. Like, this has to be something big if it's on Jeopardy. I mean, that's fucking wild.
I mean, it's definitely not as popular as it was when the pandemic first hit, but from what I understand, they still have a pretty decent amount of players. So, I mean, it helps that I don't know if it's full crossplay actually. Like, I don't know if I want to say that it is, but I don't know if like they have console versions now. I don't know if they're all full crossplay too. I would hope that they are, but I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, yeah. But guys, this has been the HexxedPhenom Gamescast, the show that brings you the video game news you need to know each and every week. It goes live every Saturday on youtube.com/HexxedPhenom and on podcast services around the globe. But guys, until next time, have a phenomenal week.